Okay, so this goofy Ford Focus, when I first got it, it was about 2 years old, had about 14,000 miles on it, and I think the horn worked for all of maybe a month or two, and then one of the two horns just quit working, and I've just put up with it for the last, I don't know how many years. So this thing's old now, it's 2025, I think I bought it in 2016. But I had wanted for a while to possibly put one of these bad boy horns on, but I never felt like spending $60 on them because I thought that was a little bit too expensive. But the other day I was looking, and for whatever reason, Advanced Auto had them on sale for $10. So they were on clearance. They were getting rid of them for whatever reason. You could see this one, the plastic's kind of yellowed on this side, so it looks like it's been hanging on a shelf for a while. The back side, the plastic is perfect, but the front is yellowed. So I ended up buying this one, and I bought the one other one that they had there. They had two, and the one that was fairly close to me, I drove about a half an hour to get to the closest one. And I've wanted to put it on my Focus, so that's what we're going to do today. My son and I are going to put this on. I'll show you the difference. So if you want to hear the horn, when what it sounds like currently on the Focus, my son is going to honk it here and let you hear it. But it is definitely not very loud at all. Like I said, only one of the horns is actually functioning. So not quite as loud or as attention grabbing as I would like. So I will be back with the next part. All right, so let me show you where we're at next. I put my car up on the ramps here just to get it a little bit easier to access because this car does sit fairly low. And we got underneath here, you can see that this little belly cover that you have to take off to access the oil filter when you change your oil, just take the front edge of that off. And then there's this plastic piece that's kind of underneath the bumper. There's just a few more of those torque screws. Those also need to come off, and then it just pops right out of there. And then you have access to, this is the underside of the radiator, and over on the passenger side, you can see that's where the two horns exist. Now, there is a harness that comes straight down. There's a little tab on the back side of this. You can see this tab. It's very difficult to see because the lighting's not real good, but right here on top of my finger, push that in. So when it's here, you want to, it'll be fastened onto here. You want to push that tab in, and then you want to pull this down. It did take a little bit of force to get it to pull down. It's just because it's never been separated since I've owned the car. But it will come off. And then there was a little zip tie. If you see it up in here, there's a zip tie, and then that zip tie fastened it right into here. It's very difficult to see. I popped that out with a flat bladed screwdriver just so you have a little bit more room to access the wire. Now what I'm planning on doing is clipping the wire right here and then going to install just a couple of female 12 volt connectors on there, which then should directly plug into the aftermarket horn. So give me 1 second to reposition, and I will show you how we're going to do that. So looking at this bad boy horn, if you look underneath where the two male connectors are, they are marked for positive and negative. So if you, it's kind of embossed in the plastic. I don't know if you are able to see it in there, but right over here is the positive side, and right here is the negative side. So what we're going to have to do before we just hook the wires up to this is we need to determine which of the two wires that are coming into this factory plug are the positive and the negative. So just have my tester light here. We're going to stick it up in here and see which one will light up. I've got it clipped onto the chassis, which will ground it, and then we're going to have my other son press the horn button. Go ahead, Carter. Press it. Hold it. You can see the test light just barely is starting to show some red. So I have already tried the other side. This side doesn't work at all. So that means on this plug, if you're looking at where this little clip is, the side that's the opposite of the clip is the positive side. Coming up here, that is going to be our blue and yellow wire. So we need to remember that blue and yellow wire is the wire that needs to be hooked up to the positive side of the new horn. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a couple of these female connectors and get those put onto the car's wiring harness. I just purchased these off of Amazon. That's the cheapest place I've found. to find kind of these variety packs for 3 different size, or actually quite a few different size wires. They're color coded, but you can get them wherever you want to get them, but they need to be installed onto in place of this actually factory plug. So all I'm going to do is clip these 2 first, and then I need to strip the wires, which I just realized I don't think I have my wire strippers. On a pair of wire strippers. These aren't my favorite, but they will work in a pinch. And we're going to get these 2 ends of these wires stripped. Actually, we've got to turn this around so these strip the other way. We'll see if we can get these to work. So there's the negative side, and then here's the positive side. All right, got those both stripped. I like to twist the wire before we put on the connector. And I personally like to use these wire crimpers. I think they work the best. These are actually channel locks, which are made not too far from where I live. But I do think this style crimper does a nicer job. They seem to stay on better. There's one. Get the second one on here. I also like to put the end in the pliers before you crimp it. I think it's a lot easier that way. That way you can make sure your wire's fully seated in before you do your crimping. Crimp those. Give it just a small little tug. Make sure that's good. And like I said, now we can go ahead and hook up the horn. We want to make sure this outside prong that is marked with a plus is hooked up to the blue wire, and then we can make sure this yellow one is hooked up to the negative. Okay, that should be it. So next thing we're going to do, I'll come back with you here in just a second, is we're going to test this before we get it mounted up in place. I'm probably just going to use a couple zip ties and hold it in place, just because I think that'll be fine. All right, my son's gonna crawl around here. We're gonna try the new horn out. Go ahead, Mason. Yeah, it's definitely louder. Yep, good deal. All right, it works. Just gonna put a couple zip ties, hold that thing up in place, and put everything back together, and you'll be all set. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped. Have a great day.